We're running a little bit behind schedule, but I'll try and catch up later. It is Brunon Bartkiewicz. I hope I've pronounced that properly. It's a Polish name. He's a Chief Innovation Officer from ING Bank in the Netherlands. And he's going to be talking about reinventing banking, as you can see from your agendas. Brunon has been in this role as Chief Innovation Officer for just over a year. He's responsible for the bank's strategic innovations and agenda, and he reports directly to ING's CEO, Ralph Hamers. He's Polish, as I mentioned, and he started his banking career with Poland's Bank Śląski in 1991. ING then bought Śląski in 1994, so that's how he came to work for his current employer. So would you please welcome Brunon Bartkiewicz. Come on, Brunon. And if whoever's in control of the timer could set this timer to 20 minutes. I think you've got 20 minutes. That's right. That's your cue. If you want to take questions and answers, stop at 15 and we'll get 5 minutes Q&A.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. It's, of course, a great honor to be able to talk to you. And the subject that I would like to talk to you is actually how to make the innovation into the organization and what exactly does it mean, the innovation for the organization like ourselves, namely like ING. I think we are having some problem with the presentation, so let me just speak without that. First, I think we realize, we realize that actually the change is happening right now. But why are we talking about that? We have to squeeze that into the purpose of our own organization. In our view, the change is now happening for the banking sector because the digital technology got into its maturity, namely to the maturity that crippling effect of the technology is now getting to the point that it will impact heavily all the industries, and I'm underlining that all the industries, and of course especially the information-based technologies or industries. Banking sector per definition is the information industry. So banks are information companies and service company. So we are having the information-driven service company, and that's why per definition, if the digital technologies are getting mature, we will be impacted heavily. We are impacted heavily. And the process of change will only speed up. If the process of change of technology and customer expectations, which are going hand in hand, is changing rapidly, any organization which is not coping with internal changes, with the speed of change of external world, according to the, normal organization theory, is dead. So the fact, if we are not changing our organization internally, we are dead already. The fact that we are still breathing is just a nuance from that perspective. Second point that we have to raise is what then making us able to cope with these changes and speed of changes which is happening on the external world. Of course, the only possibility from our perspective is to be extremely agile and as agile as possible, because we don't know what will happen in a year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Nobody knows, to be honest. That's why the only ability for us to cope with that is actually to be agile. Thank you, Fiona. Of course, in that respect, we have to change ourselves to be able to work on the external world. Why external world is important? Once again, we are service organization. We are facing the customers. And this is the only thing that matters. Scott this morning was, in the wrap-up, he was telling that the important thing is that we should know what should we produce and what we can produce. In my mind, we should know what we should produce. Because what we can produce is not important anymore, because everything can be produced in banking sector. Absolutely everything. Whatever dream you are having about how the service can be provided to the to the customers, wherever wildest dream you are having. Principally, I can tell you it can be produced, even more. It is produced already somewhere. You just have to find it out. So the acceptance, or actually the new world, is about building the capabilities and skills to cope with the changes. Innovation in our mind is delivering value to the customer, which means we need to have a proper ideas, and we need to have the rigorous disciplined process to bring that ideas into implementation and to the customer. Ultimately, whether something is innovation or not is depending whether the customer is buying that or not. If customers are not buying with money, with attention, with reference, the product of our effort, it's not innovation. It's actually a waste. Because this is the huge risk at the moment that will produce a lot of things that nobody wants. And this is, from our perspective, it's a risk. So this is the simple model that, unfortunately, is embracing a lot of stuff that we are trying to do. Why, unfortunately? Because we believe that you cannot do some of them and some not. You have to deal with all of them. Let me go very shortly through them. Signal. We in ING, we are trying to build the system which is recognizing the signals in the market and is bringing them to the right people to take the actions. What is the signal? It's like you are in the desert and you are seeing the roaring. We have to be able to translate that roaring, whether this is a risk of the, I don't know, storm and we have to hide, whether this is a lion and we have to run, or whether this is a digital opportunity and we have to run towards it. We have to be able to do that. So all the elements that you, of course, are thinking immediately, namely, proper organization of internal data management, ability to absorb the data, external, existing publicly domained external data for our needs, and converting analog reactions or relations with the customer into digital signals, digital data, it's the element in here. But also how to bring it from the moment when they appear into the system when they activate the action. Including, of course, advanced analytics or big data abilities that we are having. The next one is eco. So it's eco, environment, and system. We as the banks, as according to that definition that we are using, we are looking what customer wants, and nobody knows that. So obviously, we want to use the efforts of hundreds of thousands of millions of people and entities throughout the world who are trying to do exactly this. From universities, governments, technology, fintech, startup, whoever. Everybody is doing the same. So it's in our benefit to know what is happening. Not only know what is happening within that environment, which is saving our costs and our investment, but it's also very important to cooperate with them to understand that better and to be able to see it a bit earlier what is important for us. Banks are institutions who should concentrate on what customer wants because this is the only competitive advantage that we are having. And that's why we should be integrators of the capabilities that exist in the market and use them. Within ecosystem activities, of course, how to create the proper databases of what is happening in the startup and fintech element. How to combine that with the technology heat maps that what is happening in the world. How to embrace the trends. But it also, if we want to understand the accelerators, we have to work with them. Not only invest in them and watch what they are doing, but actually it's my high recommendation, create the accelerator by yourself. Incubation, the same. Venture capital organization. I found out that 2 years ago, I didn't understand the venture capital market at all. And I'm fascinated how huge and complex this market is. I would recommend everybody to go on track and find out how the venture capital in every stage of its business is actually performed. Organization. We as banks, we are wrongly organized for the new challenges. We are operating in silos, we are operating in departments, we operate in business lines, very often organized along products and not along customers. We have to change that. We are running a huge projects, several huge projects, but one, the biggest, is in domestic Netherlands, where we principally, the whole organization, customer-facing, so not the element of IT, not the element of organization, we are organizing according to the so-called Spotify model, where the tribes, squads, and chapters are the core element of organizing yourself, totally cracking the silo operation, or operation in the departmental zone. New professions. The professions of 10 years ago are not adequate for the future. System. We are software houses working in services. So as every software house in the world over the last 10 years, 20 years changed drastically, we have to change accordingly. We are having the ambition that architecture, our software architecture of software of what we are running should be the base for our internal organization. So element of layering or stacking the software houses that exist is creating what in many banks are now calling the multi-speed banks. There are huge differences of culture, regulation, and approach between the people who are working in standardized unification of infrastructure in IT or in our manufacturing industrial operational centers for mortgages, from the element of people who are working in trying to guess what is the experience with customer, user experience, customer journeys, and all that stuff. So we are, per definition, we have to change our organization in the manner following the system, and our system have to be different. And first, as I said, to the signal and to ecosystem, we operating as the integrator, we have to create our internal system which are open to absorb the capabilities coming from outside. If we are buying the fintech, it's not the point about buying the fintech. The problem is how to embrace the capability of the fintech into immediately our core and providing the services to the customers. And last is the experimentation. Experimentation sounds simple, but actually this is a mindset. We define that within ING, that principally everything that until now we work on statements and our knowledge about the market, we have to crack that and to convert it into assumption. We don't know, we assume. This mindset is a huge change of our approaching to projects, and as a matter of fact, everything which is, or every activity, every new development which is having unknown outcome should be treated by us differently. What does it mean, unknown outcome? Everything which is dealing with customer is having unknown outcome because we don't know what customer wants and customer either. In that respect, elements which was mentioned, of course, together based on the lean startup, design thinking, and agile methodology, we have created our own methodology approaching for the development with unknown outcome, and we call it PACE, ING way to innovate, in short, PACE. This is PACE in short, stages, phases. This is PACE version 1, which we have created a year ago, and we are trying to propagate it throughout the whole organization. Shortly, but perhaps on the practical terms, this is my organization, namely the organization of Chief Innovation Office within ING, which is having five parts, as you can see. And based on what I said, what I told you, I hope it's now quite natural or quite logical, rational how my office is organized. We're having the team which is customer analytics. For those of you who are more familiar with lean startup, that will be like lean measures element, but it's also the team who is working on making sure that data, foundation of data organization with our organization around customers is also organized in the proper manner. Of Of course, there are multiple units within ING who are working about proper data management, but we are making also sure that data management around customers are properly defined, unified, standardized, and kept in the proper manner. That also includes, of course, application and tools. We are having the fintech team, which is creating the rules, formula, and methods internally to make sure that our cooperation with fintech startups for us is the same, are properly done within our organization. Orange sharing is the name of our knowledge sharing element, putting the ideas within or work within ING that one left side know what is happening on the right side, so breaking the silos through knowledge sharing. ICAC is our internal ING Customer Experience Center, our internal accelerator and incubator, plus all the campaigns who are happening within our organization of hackathons, innovation boot camps, innovation studios, and so forth. And the last one, but very important, is innovation transformation, which is principally our propaganda office. So people who are training, accelerating on-site, and working with the innovation driver, so community within ING, are propagating the new methodology of approaching the ideas. Exactly 5 minutes left.
Brunon, thank you.
Thank you.
Stay there.
Yep, all right.
My gizmo on. Any questions for Brunon? We've got 2 or 3 minutes left. Just gentlemen here, we'll just take one question. You've asked a question before, but could you just remind us who you are and where you're from?
Thank you very much. My name is Rebel Hanno. Actually, thank you very much for this very interesting presentation. And it is converging with a study that, an empirical research that I was heading for the same subject. My question is, in our findings, we noticed that actually 72% of the banks and financial institutions consider that technology is very important, whereas only 15% consider that technology is a strategic level in terms of decision making, where 66% consider that it is pure technical. My question is, don't you believe that we need to ramp up a little bit the interest into technology to the strategic level, and in the same time to consider that business intelligence, along with the technology strategic decision-making process, can respond exactly to what you have stated now in terms of practical application to really consider innovation and technology fruitful for banks and financial institutions?
Yeah, a rather long question, but please
yes,
be
but,
as brief as possible.
I hope I have partly, of course, answered your question, because namely, we are business intelligence digital technology companies. That's at least what we are thinking about ourselves. So there is not other things in our structure. There are no more important things than this. Banking is becoming really a software. We are software houses. And if we look at ourselves, let's look deeply into ourselves. We are digital, right? We are deep digital companies. Of course, ING is perhaps quite advanced in that manner. So perhaps for us, some things are more obvious, right? We are typically the bank without branches. We are having some huge operations, like in Germany, we are having 7 million customers and 0 branches. For the last 20 years, we built the business of 7 million customers, one of the largest retail banking in Germany, which is not the smallest country in the world, and there is 0 branches. But of course, it doesn't matter, because the experience of the customer is fantastic. But we have always to improve that. Reading the mind, for me at the moment, what is the definition of the banker? Is the person who is able to read the mind of the customer. And that, of course, is digital, because everything is digital at the moment. The customer is calling our contact center. We, of course, want that immediately to be transformed into the digital experience. So speech recognition is enabling us to put the software which is recognizing on the big data phases what the customer is calling about.
Okay, Brunon, I think that's all we have time for. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was great. Thank you.